Hello and welcome to week 7, if you can believe it. This week I'd like to get 2 done. Lesson 6 does working with charts. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a second here. And then lesson 7 uses tables, basically, learns how to use tables, so organizing data, and I'll talk a bit about that as well. That will put us into lesson 8, which would be a perfect opportunity to finish up sort of at the beginning of June there and work through the geometrics for the rest of June if we need to. And then that should give you the opportunity to write for the certification if you are interested, okay? If you are interested in that, you might want to do a little bit more, look at the create, look at the validate, and I'll try to get the geometrics working next week for you so that you can start working on that as well. All right, just in terms of what these two are, like I said, working with charts is not too bad. The biggest issue is knowing what data to select. And so, for example, it talks a little bit about doing the pie chart, and in a pie chart you do need to do the totals because it's sort of a totals thing, right? Your percent of your total, so you wouldn't want to put all the detailed data. It'll make sense when you sort of work through the problems there, whereas maybe like a bar chart, bar graph or whatever, you might have individual numbers for each whatever data you're working with, right? You might have a variety of numbers there. So that's kind of the difference, okay? So it's pretty straightforward. I didn't have any troubles with it. The quick analysis tool is kind of a neat way to give you a slight picture, like a little snapshot of what your data is doing. Is it increasing, decreasing over time? Which is the largest, which is the smallest? Just a few little things like that so that the data sort of jumps out at you. When it's just a mess of numbers, it can be a little bit tricky to see. Now, lesson 7 goes into using tables, and so basically all of this is mostly dealing with tables there. And then so I asked myself, well, why should we use a table? Because really, your spreadsheet is kind of a table. Well, I've sort of found some information, so I'll just pop it up here, and I might give this as well here, 10 reasons to use tables. And in fact, when you're working through it, you'll see that you use these. So one reason to use tables is that it makes the use of filters. So being able to filter data, sort of organize it, either A to Z or limit certain data, whatever the case is. And then you can multi-stage filter it. So, and I guess that's sort of the same idea as sort of sorting here, but you don't have to make sure, I've got all the rows or columns included. It will just automatically sort everything in that table. So it makes things a lot more convenient than just doing it with a regular spreadsheet. And I think that's what you'll find with all of these things. If it's in a table, things are easier to do. So we haven't seen pivot tables, but again, it does make it easier for charts, okay? So if you need to do that with table, you'll find your charts are easier to draw. It will know what the data is already. Pivot tables, we haven't seen that. I hope it's in the next section because pivot tables are quite easy, or not easy, but they're very useful. Automatic autofill, so you'll see that where it will just automatically be able to figure out, okay, this is part of the data, and just sort of work it in there. You don't have to reassign a formula. It will just sort of fill it in properly. Again, calculation of columns and so on. Again, it will just do it kind of automatically. Now, when you're dealing with 10, 20 lines, of data, it's not the huge issue. But like if you've got, like it says here, 500,000 rows of data and columns, it can make your life so much easier, right? You don't have to worry about, did I include all of them or not? It's already there. We talked about freezing panes last time. Headers will always be available. It's going to be much easier just to see what the data you're working on. So you don't have to do the freeze panes, okay? In that we do the total rows, makes things, again, very easy to be able to see what's going on. Quick formatting, you can use those styles. Again, it shows you how to do that, so you don't have to mess around with the styles. The naming, so it will automatically name these ones like a sales, 2019 sales, 2018 sales, so it knows what the the header is. And so again, just saving time, okay? And then mention those quick totals as well. Very, very convenient. So the biggest thing is, with those tables is that it makes it more convenient, quicker to work with, and minimizes the errors, because it sort of will make sure that all the data within that table you're working with there. Okay, so work through that, but I think one of the biggest issues, I guess, as we work through this, is that you understand the steps you're taking, what to do. I guess you really know how to do it, right? You know how to maybe set up a table, how to do a chart, but why you're doing it can be a little bit more elusive. And so what is the use case of it? And that's a little bit harder to teach in a way, because each use case is going to be a little bit different, and it almost requires a little bit of accounting knowledge, maybe a little bit of statistical knowledge to know why you're using this graph versus another graph. So there's always that second bit of information. Excel is kind of the tool to do the work, but you need to know why you're using it. And at the moment, I'd say you're more on the how to use it side, and then if you've taken accounting, or as you sort of introduce yourself to more practical reasons where, hey, I might need this, that's where you're going to find that, hey, now I know I can do this in Excel. Now I know sort of why I need to do it, and why I need to use these spreadsheet skills to make things easier to understand and deal with all the data. Because, like I said, that's sort of, as you move forward in life, if you run business, personal finance, being able to use a spreadsheet really makes things easier to understand in terms of projecting forward or looking at the past. Anyways, as I blab on here a little bit. So try to get 6 and 7 done. They didn't take me too long. I would think within the hour and a half you could probably do them if you concentrated. It might be a little longer, but I think last week was pretty short with just one lesson, and that will put us into good shape to sort of give us the option to work through geometrics and do the little test, the certification, if you're interested, and I'll give you a couple chances to do that certification if that's what we need. All right, so please finish those up this week, and let me know if you've got any problems, because I'm always here to help. Take care.